Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering tips for writing a book in 2026. It's interesting when the calendar turns from December to January and all the goals and all the resolutions that we carry forward, the things we want to do in the new year. And one of those big, audacious goals is writing a book. Writing a book is such a big goal, and so often people have that goal and then lose it over the course of the year. They lose momentum, they lose hope. I don't want this to be one of those goals that you set and then lose momentum with over the course of the year. I want you to stick with it, I want you to keep going, and I want you to finish your book in 2026. That's what this video is all about, all the tips that you need to write and finish your book. By the end of this video, you will learn how to build momentum with book writing, and why sticking with it is definitely possible. And if you're struggling, if you're hitting the wall, I have some resources that can really help you on your way. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. I think it's so awesome that you want to write a book, and I think it's great that you're thinking about this year, writing it this year, getting it done, 365 days. What are you going to accomplish in those 365 days? If you're interested in writing a book this year, one of the key things you want to think about is your purpose for writing the book. What's inspiring you to want to do it? What is the reason deep down that you want to write this book? It could be wanting to take the next step in your business career. It could be establishing yourself as a thought leader. It could be documenting your family's story. There are so many good reasons to want to write a book. Family legacy, speaking engagements, interview requests, just something inside that you want to do. Whatever it is, figure out your purpose. If you figure out your purpose and the thing that you want to accomplish from this book, it's going to make it easier to keep going when things get tough. That's really the first step in this process. If you can figure out your purpose, it's going to help you keep going even as you hit these roadblocks. Another thing you want to think about is your publishing path. So if we're thinking about purpose and the things that you want to accomplish, what's your journey to actually getting there? You know, when you think about nonfiction books, there's really two main paths, and there are other ones too, but there's two ones that I want to focus on. It's self-publishing and traditional publishing. If you want to traditionally publish your book, and you want to get a book deal, and you want to work with an agent and a publisher, you're probably not going to publish your book in 2026. Just keep that in mind. These things take a long time. You're probably looking at 18 months, 24 months before your book is out. And that's okay. If you want to go that route, do it. Go for it. Believe in it. You know, carry forward with it. Just recognize that these things take longer. If you're interested in moving quickly and you're interested in getting your book out this year, self-publishing is the way to go because it really cuts down on a lot of the steps needed and the time needed to prepare the book for publication. There's a lot of people that I work with as a ghostwriter and a writing coach where, you know, we kind of talk about their goals and we talk about what they want to accomplish and we talk about their aims. And so often that element of time comes into it. You know, I think about somebody I've been working with recently, his name is Rob, and he's in his 70s, you know, and he was actually talking to a traditional publisher, an independent publisher, but a traditional publisher about, you know, writing the book and publishing it, and they wanted to publish it in 2027. He's like, I don't want to wait that long. I want the book to be live. You know, and he's actually getting it ready in the coming months, which is super exciting. You can really reduce the timeline to publication if you end up self-publishing. And there's no shame in self-publishing. There's not, you know, I think a lot of authors get worried about this stigma of, you know, is my book less than because it's self-published? No, it's not. If you can think of 12 to 24 months of having your book in readers' hands, that's a big win. You know, at the end of the day, the reader's not going to care so much about what path this took to publication. If the message resonates with them and the message matters to them, they're not going to care. And that 12 to 24 months is a huge amount of time of waiting and waiting and waiting. So if you were thinking about really wanting to get this book out there in 2026, definitely focus on self-publishing. I think that's the better path for you. The other reality about traditional publishing today is that traditional publishers are doing less and less for authors. They are typically working with authors with social media platforms and opportunities to sell and market their book. You know, if you're somebody who has a huge following and you're okay waiting for that traditional publisher to work through the process to get your book live, so be it. That's awesome. I think you should take that path. If you're somebody who has a mid-range following and a great story, why not look at self-publishing? Why not consider it? This is not a less than, especially when you can work with professionals along the way to make sure your product is as good as possible. But the reality exists that publishers today are doing less and less for authors. Whatever path you choose, it's going to be up to you to market, to promote, to push the book, and to bring it to a bigger following. We've talked quite a bit about your purpose and your path to publication, but let's actually talk about the writing process itself. The writing process is a sticking point, a huge sticking point for authors. A lot of times people come in with a lot of momentum. You think about those New Year's resolutions, think about going to the gym. I always think about going to the gym at New Year's and think, I'm gonna do it this year, I'm gonna commit myself to this, and I'm gonna go every other day, I'm gonna make a commitment to this. And then by January 20th or so, I'm already kind of fading off and I'm not gonna go to the gym today. We all do that with different resolutions in our lives. It's so easy to think about doing that with books as well. The way that you can get past that is by building a good foundation and building momentum. When I think about a foundation, I'm really focused on your book hook, your book audience, and your book outline. If you can lock these elements into place early, they're going to empower the writing process. You know, you don't want to be somebody who's sitting at the keyboard or typewriter or, you know, sitting at your coffee shop writing away, thinking about what am I going to write about today and does this actually fit in the book? You want to build that foundation from the beginning because it's going to empower every single step you take from there. Every single thing you do in the writing process will be filtered through these three things. And when you think about hook, you know, what is the reader benefit and how is somebody going to carry forward in their life with the message of your book? How are they going to walk around thinking about this book? How is it going to change their life? How is it going to force them to think differently? And this needs to be something in a sentence. You need to be able to succinctly describe what the reader benefit and takeaway is in one sentence. If you can't do it in a sentence, it means you really haven't done the work to burrow down on what your book is about and what the benefit is. There's so many times I meet with authors and I ask them what their book is about. You know, what's the reader benefit? And they talk for 2 or 3 minutes and I say, no. I didn't ask for a 30,000-foot view of the book. I really want this really succinct sentence. You need to be able to describe it very quickly because if you can't describe it quickly and succinctly, readers are going to lose focus. They're going to say, I can't see myself reading this book and learning anything from it. You want readers to understand what it's about immediately. Audience is another huge element of your foundation. Who are you writing the book for? If you don't know who you're writing the book for, you're really going to struggle in finding the readership. You're going to struggle with how you write the book. You know, what kind of reader level are you focused on? You know, if you're focused on a postgraduate kind of book, you're going to write that differently than a children's book. So you really need to know who you're speaking to. Who is this book for? Outline's another thing. So you think about the hook and the takeaway, and you think about the audience. The outline is the way that the book is structured. It needs to be structured in a powerful way, in a smart way, in a way that makes sense and wants to keep the reader reading. I often compare the book reading process to movie watching. And when you watch a movie and they cut from scene to scene, you don't have time to wait and think if you want to keep going. You can obviously hit the pause button, you know, and go out of the room for a minute if you want to, but the movie is constructed in a way that it just continues forward and forward and forward, and here's the next scene, the next scene. A book is different in a sense that you actually need to physically turn the page, you know, or keep going if you're listening to it. But those chapter breaks provide opportunities for the reader to put the book down. You want to give the reader reason to keep going. You have to give them the motivation to want to continue forward. You know, you don't want them to put it down and say, I'm done with this. You want them to say, I need to come back to this. I can't stop thinking about this book. What's going to happen next to the characters? What am I going to learn next? Whatever the case may be, you want them to keep going, and you want an outline that's going to help carry that reader journey forward. One of the most important things when thinking about resolutions is habits. What are your habits? What are your patterns? You know, when you think about successful projects and unsuccessful projects, why did one succeed and one didn't? What is your working pattern? You know, how do you approach work? How do you set good habits for yourself? I go back to the example of going to the gym. There needs to be habit-forming activity that motivates somebody to want to keep doing this thing. Because just like the gym, a book is about delayed rewards and delayed gratification. You're not going to see the results right away. This is an ongoing process, and over time you're going to see things fall into place. So you need to keep rewarding yourself and give yourself a reason to keep going, which we did with the purpose. When you think about going to the gym, we often think about the bigger picture goals of, I want to lose X amount of weight, I want to fit into these pants again, I want to, be healthier, whatever the case may be. They're vague and they're very bigger picture specific. I want you to focus on the little goals. When you think about going to the gym, I'm going to the gym today. With writing, I'm going to write today. This isn't about, I want to finish the book, the bigger picture book. It's about what are you doing today to set yourself up for success with the book. It's about doing the little things that are going to lead to the big results. For writing, one of the best tools is a writing sprint. This is 10 minutes of your time, literally 10 minutes. The amount of time that you've been watching this video, you could sit down and write, and free write for 10 minutes. And put down as many words as can fit from your head onto the page. This is just about the brain dump. This isn't about writing great words. This isn't about writing flowing prose. This is about getting the words onto the page in the most succinct, easiest way possible. So if you're stuck and you're really struggling to make progress, think about those 10 minutes of time. Think about what you can accomplish in 10 minutes. A major part of accomplishing anything is focus. So easily we get distracted by phones, by notifications, by people in our life, by anything. We get distracted so quickly, and every time that you lose focus, every time that you get distracted by an email notification or a pop-up or something, think about 20 minutes of time that you've just wasted, because now you're down a rabbit hole. Now you're doing something else. Now you're not focused on the matter at hand. It's not always about scheduling the right amount of time to make progress. It's about scheduling the right amount of focus. It's about devoting the focus time to yourself. It's not about blocking out 3 hours every Monday. Maybe it's about 30 minutes of focus time. So think about focus, think about distractions, think about the things that slow you down and get in your way, and see how you can diminish them, address them, find some time for yourself that you can make progress. If this book takes longer than you anticipate, that's okay too. I've worked on books that have definitely taken longer than I expected, and I think that's pretty common. I work with people as well who are so focused on, I want to finish it this year. It's like, okay, but what if it takes longer? That's all right too. It's okay if it bleeds into next year. Don't lose momentum and don't lose hope and don't lose progress just because you're thinking about that end goal of a year. It's good to have those goals. I'd rather you worry about doing the best writing you can today, tomorrow, next week, next month, than worrying about these arbitrary self-made deadlines of, I want to finish the book this year. Take as long as you need to get this book in the best shape possible. And really the thing to keep in mind too is that there's help if you need it. I have worked as a book ghostwriter for the last 7 years, which means I help people write their books. I've also worked as a writing coach, which is kind of like a sports coach, somebody who stands there and offers encouragement and guides people forward. And there's courses as well. There's so many different ways that you can get help in the writing process. So if you're really stuck, if you're really struggling, if you don't know what you're doing and are really just hitting a wall, there's people out there like myself who can help you. The writing process is something that requires, so many different people. Even if you write it yourself, there's so many different people that are going to help you move forward in this book writing process. So if you need actual help, if you need somebody to guide you or to help you write this book, keep an open mind about that. If you want to learn more about tips for writing a book in 2026, I'd love to offer some insight and guidance. Head to my website, it's goodbookhelp.com. You can click the link below and schedule a one-on-one call with me. I'd love to hear more about your project. I'd love to hear more about the challenges and opportunities you're facing and offer some guidance to help you on your way. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.